I call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, February 16, 2022. Regular Board of County Commissioners zoning meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll call his first case. I guess, Anthony, you're up today.
Commissioners, good morning. For the record, Anthony Rodriguez, Zoning Manager with Community Development. We have 4 cases for you this morning, 3 comp plan adoption hearings and 1 zoning case. First 3 cases will be handled by Tyler Griffin, and the 4th case will be handled by Courtney Gordon. So I'm going to introduce Tyler, and she'll take you through the 3 cases. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, Tyler Griffin with Lee County DCD. The first case we have is the property rights element CPA 2021-00007, which is a county-initiated text amendment. The purpose for the amendment is to incorporate the property rights element into the Lee plan as required by Florida statute, and the BOCC directed staff to draft the required element last year. The proposed amendment is consistent with the Lee plan, including various policies and practices, and it furthers the protection of private property rights. The following state reviewing agencies provided feedback, but there were no objections or comments concerning the proposed amendments, and staff recommends that it is adopted as provided in the staff report.
One question slash comment. The main reason we're here that you left out was this is mandated to us by the Florida legislature, and we have no choice but to accept it.
Yes, that's the main
That's
purpose.
a pretty good summary. Counselor, would you agree with that?
So much for home rule, right?
God bless the Florida legislature and home rule. I mean, I'm sorry. Who's against property rights, and where has this been an issue? You got some rookie in Tallahassee trying to make a big name for himself, saying, by God, I brought property rights to Florida. Well, I resent it. If I vote no, if 3 of us voted no, what would happen, Counselor?
If you voted no, then the next 2 comp plan amendment hearings that are scheduled for today could not go forward, because you're not allowed to continue any adoption hearings until you do this.
And we're supposed to have done it by July or something? Prior to now,
I don't think the statute actually set a specific date, but it does provide the backdrop that you cannot process any additional comprehensive.
Okay, I just wanted a record to show that this is mandated by Tallahassee, that we didn't think this up by ourselves, but it was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Somebody has to have a reason to run, sir. You know, it's either this or water, so it's got to be some issue. So, any questions for staff?
And I sediment Commissioner's comments, but with that in mind, I'll make a motion to move forward.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment on this item? Being none, come back to the board. Any objection? Motion passes. Thank you. Next case.
Next case is Alico West Area 9 Center Place, CPA 2021-00002, which is a privately initiated text amendment. It's being requested in order to amend Lee Plan Policy 15.1.16, paragraph 8, to remove the 25% limitation on single-family and 0 lot line dwelling units on land in Area 9, which is within the University Community Future Land Use category. And this is being done in order to accommodate a hybrid multifamily development, which is currently considered single-family by the Lee County Land Development Code. The proposed amendment is consistent with the Lee Plan, including the following policies, objectives, and goals. And state reviewing agencies provided feedback, did not have any objections or comments concerning the proposed amendments, and staff recommends that this is adopted as shown in attachment 1.
Any questions for staff at this time?
I've got one more. I just wonder what's the practical effect of removing the 25% limitation? I mean, I heard what you were saying, but this says 25% limitation on single family and 0 lot line. And we're removing that.
The applicant is also here to answer questions, but the main purpose is the development that's being proposed by the applicant is currently considered single-family. This is more of a hybrid multifamily, but because it's currently considered single-family, it wouldn't be allowed due to the 25% limitation that currently exists. And so this is just simply removing that paragraph to allow for the hybrid development that is being proposed.
Can you put it in layman's terms, like the applicant here needs this change in order to accomplish what?
The housing development that they're proposing, but I think they can go into more detail regarding.
Steve, is this yours? I'd be happy to hear from, let him give an answer.
Thank you. I asked if the applicant was here, so Steve, go ahead.
Excuse me, Steve Hartzell for the record. I'm here on behalf of Valico Multifamily. We've got a whole presentation, but I won't pull it up in order to answer a relatively simple question.
Practical effect of what
Practical
you're asking
effect.
for will allow your client to do what?
It will allow the client to do a different kind of multifamily development. These are detached structures, residences. So on one parcel that's owned by one entity, there will be a bunch of individual homes. There'll be 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom homes, much like a small single-family community, except that it's rental. And so instead of being stuck in an apartment building with all of your units up and down above everybody, these folks will be able to live in their own building. It'll look kind of like a single-family community because the buildings are individual. That's why it's considered single-family under the Land Development Code, but it's actually multifamily detached units. So the practical effect is there's this unique product for residential use that will fit in with the university community. That 25% limitation was put there in order to, when it was first adopted, in order to prevent a bunch of gated single-family communities in the university area that wouldn't really help the teachers, the professors, the students. So they wanted to have a broader mix or use of residential products, so they put a 25% single-family limitation in there. Now we've developed, I say we, the area has developed out so that there is lots of different product out there. This 25% limit on single-family isn't necessary anymore. Nobody's worried that this whole place is going to develop as golf course communities. And particularly for this one, it's technically single-family under the Land Development Code, but it's actually a product that's multifamily in practice, and it'll be open to students, professors, working-class folks. By getting rid of that 25% limit, we'll be able to do this kind of a project. We worked with the university. They like it. They're in favor of it. They recommend approval of it as well.
Thank you. That was a big help. Appreciate it.
Steve, is this kind of like the project they're doing in the Forum area off in the city of Fort Myers between Colonial and MLK?
There are a couple of projects that are similar to this. Basically, multifamily, because they're rental, but individual buildings on one owned parcel. So yes, there are a couple right now. When this started, this was just about the first one, and we had to go through a plan amendment to get here, so we're kind of lagging behind. But we appreciate staff working with us to get this done.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll call public comment on this item. Any public comment?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any public comment? No public comment?
I'm so well informed, I'll move this.
Second.
Great. Okay, motion, we have a second. Thank you to the county staff. You did a great job there for the presentation. You got a motion and a second. So any objections to the motion? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Next case.
The next case is Luckett Landing, CPA 2021-00013, which is a privately initiated small-scale map amendment. The request is to amend the future land use map, map 1A, to redesignate 16.56 acres from the industrial development future land use category to the industrial interchange future land use category. And this is in order to maximize a critical access point located off of I-75, which would allow for additional visitor serving commercial uses, including hotels and restaurants. The request is consistent with the LEAP plan, including policy 6.1.4, which discusses compatibility of the industrial interchange category with surrounding existing and planned uses. It's also consistent with objective 1.3, which discusses the location of the subject property and its appropriateness for redesignation to the industrial interchange land use category, so as to be consistent and maximize that critical access point located at I-75. And consistent with Goal 2, there are adequate public facilities and infrastructure to serve the project, and accommodation of the proposed development will encourage a contiguous growth pattern in accordance with surrounding properties and uses. This is the existing future land use map and the proposed future land use map. And you can see that there is industrial interchange to the east of the subject property. There's also intensive and industrial to the north. The subject property is an appropriate location for visitor serving development and the industrial interchange future land use category. There are additional lands in the industrial interchange future land use category on the east side of I-75. There are adequate public facilities and infrastructure to serve the property. And staff and the LPA recommend that this amendment is adopted as proposed by staff in attachment 1.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time?
I'm sorry. This is a redesignation. So give me the history. We're going back to what it used to was before it was changed for what?
No, well, as far as I know, no, it's just we're designating it from a different land use category from what it currently is to the proposed.
I read the word redesignation, and that just caught my page 2 of 3 at the top. Change the land use map to redesignate 16 acres from industrial development to industrial interchange. We're going back to interchange. Did it used to was that?
I think that was just a misused term in the staff report, or just simply meaning that we are designating it from the current to the proposed. It's just changing the land use category.
Okay, great. Any other questions or anything? No? Do we have any public comment on this item? No public comment, come back to the board.
Approval, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any objections to the motion? No objections. Motion carries. Thank you. Next case.
Commissioners, our final case this morning is a zoning case. I'm going to introduce Courtney Gordon to present that to you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Courtney Gordon. For the record, I'm a planner with zoning in DCD. The case we have before you today is, excuse me, let me flip to the page, I apologize, is REZ 2021-0008 KW Electric Incorporated. The request is to rezone 1.8 acres from Community Commercial District and Residential Single Family District to Community Commercial District. The property is located at 14580 North Cleveland Avenue in the North Fort Myers Planning Community, Lee County, Florida. The hearing examiner recommended to approve this case. We had one participant at the HEX, and that was Ms. Gina Boyvin. And I'm available if you have any questions, and the applicant is here as well.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? Is there an applicant here wish to address the board? Okay, thank you. Okay, no questions of staff. Okay, we'll go to public comment. We have one participant of the record, Gina Bovin. Gina here? Okay. She's not here. We'll come back to the board.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
We have a motion for approval. We have a second. Any objections to the motion? No objection. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Last case, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the new business in Northport.